Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about enhanced e-commerce. In a previous video I've already gone through the difference between standard e-commerce in the old version of Google Analytics and the new enhanced e-commerce which is available in the as a beta with Universal Analytics. But just to clarify this, enhanced e-commerce is about tracking far more than just the transaction. So you're no longer just tracking revenue, etc. You're tracking much more than that. And some of the things you can track include product impressions. So how many times was a particular product seen in a list, maybe on a category page or in a search results page. You can also see and track when people click on particular products to see the detail pages. This was traditionally done with events. But with the new enhanced e-commerce, you can get a much more concise report using the built-in code. You track how many times people have seen different products. You can track adds and removals from the carts, which give you some nice metrics like cart to buy ratio and cart to view ratio. You obviously can track the checkout flow. This, again, you could do with funnel reports in the previous version of GA, but enhanced e-commerce just gives you much more functionality with those particular reports. And finally, you measure the transactions, so what was purchased. So in order to track all this, you have to make some changes to your tracking code. So I'm going to show you what you need to do now. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to head into your admin area of your the view that you want to enable enhanced e-commerce for. Head down to e-commerce settings and you're going to change the e-commerce to on and enhanced e-commerce settings to on as well. And then as an optional setup, but I recommend you do this, is you type in the names of each of your funnels in the funnel step. So this is from the point onwards from the basket process onwards. So if your basket process involves seeing the basket, then going to the shipping page, then the payment page, then the confirmation page, you would enter those here as steps 1 and 2. Once you've done that, then the next step is to enable the e-commerce features in your base tracking code. To do that, you have to include a new file called ec.js. You can either do that manually by including the command require ec.js, which you can look up in the documentation. Or if you're using something like Google Tag Manager, then all you need to do is scroll down and tick the enabled enhanced e-commerce features box down here, and that will automatically include the right file for you. So once you've set up the configuration in the admin and you've included ec.js, the next step is to actually implement the code on the website, which will provide you with the data. Now, the best way to go about that is pretty much to send your devs to this page, which you can get to by searching for analytics.js enhanced e-commerce. And this page will give you all the code you need to implement in order to track everything we talked about previously. So, as I mentioned, this code is more complex than the previous version of e-commerce code. And the reason for that is you can measure so much more. Like I said, you can measure a product impression, you can measure a product click, you can measure a product detail view, you can measure adding and removing from the cart, and all of those require slightly different code. So, I'm not going to go through all of this, maybe in a separate video because it'll take too long, but let's just dive into measuring a product detail view. So here's an example of the code you would need to implement when someone sees a product. So, as I mentioned, you should already have required this ec.js file. You can do that through Tag Manager, or you can do it by putting this code on your website directly. And then you need to use this new syntax. So this is saying ec, which is e-commerce, colon add product. And add product is the action. It's saying, I want you to I want you to add this product because we're going to be doing something with this detail. So you have the ID of the product, the name, the category, a brand and a variant. Some of these are optional, some of them are required. You can have a look at the table on this page at the top, which will give you which options are required and which are not. And then finally, you do this set action detail. So this tells Google, all right, we've got this product. What's happened to it? Well, it's a detail action, which means it has been seen. And all of this must be done before you do the page view. So again, that's a common mistake, trying to put this code below the page view code. Your product detail view will not be recorded, so it has to go above. So another example here, whenever someone clicks a button to add something to the cart, you could call this particular JavaScript function. Again, we've got the add product, which is identical to this one here, with all the details. And then instead of EC action detail, like we had here, you're doing an EC action add, which is saying this product is now added to the cart. And obviously, because the page has already loaded and you've already sent the page view, you don't send this call along with the page view, you send it along with an event. So those are just two examples. You can go through all of this with your developers. There are loads of options, but take your time to go through them, implement it stage by stage, and then you should see some great data in your reports.